While many of us were seeking shelter from those blustery winds on Friday or trying to strap down the moving barbecue, Luke Fillion was in the middle of his 5th annual walk from Hamilton to the CN Tower in Toronto, raising funds for St. Peter's Hospital. Luke is back in Hamilton now and joins us with an update on how it went. Welcome to City Matters.
Thank you.
So I get it why you would end at the CN Tower, but you need to tell the story of why you start at the ANW that you start at.
That's an interesting question. A&W has always been important to me throughout my life. I was raised on A&W root beer, love the stuff. My parents, who were wonderful people, they actually fell in love and they decided to get engaged at an A&W, and they got engaged at that very A&W in the 1970s.
Which one is it?
It's the one at King and Caroline.
Oh, okay.
They turned into a Harvest Burger, and then a little while back, they went back to their roots and became an A&W again and actually revealed some of the original structure. So I thought it would be a nice little thing to do in memory of my parents to start there.
Yeah, it has been there forever. I think first or second, not that we're doing the history of A&W here, but the one I know the best was on Upper James, which was very early on. One of the first fast food joints on Upper James, and I too loved their root beer. Root beer aside, you're doing this in honor of your mom.
Yes.
If you can tell us that story.
Yeah. My mother, Janis, was a really wonderful woman. She was very caring and giving to the community. She had suffered a lot of illnesses throughout her life, and she became extremely ill in her 60s. She had a lot of problems with atherosclerosis and history of stroke, and she was diagnosed with lung cancer. And she had on-call nurses coming in and visiting her, but she was not able to take care of herself. And being an only child, I didn't have the time to be with her constantly because I had to look out for myself as well. And then, unfortunately, she took a turn for the worse, and she was getting very, very ill, and they recommended that she go to St. Peter's. And so she went there, and we were all kind of, oh boy, you know, what do we expect? And it's like, oh, she's going to spend her last days in the hospital. This is horrible. And then I went to St. Peter's, and she went to St. Peter's, discovering that it's more like a community there than a hospital. And once she got settled and adjusted, she was able to become herself again. The staff at St. Peter's were able to get her comfortable enough to have her not constantly focusing on her health struggles.
Yes.
And we were able to have quality time together, which I thought I'd never get to see because it was just, I hadn't seen my mom for the past maybe 5-10 years before she passed because she had fallen so ill, and it was just, she was always so down and depressed and having battle after battle, and they really took a lot off of her shoulders and my shoulders in the process. And having her in such a caring and safe space really mattered.
They're special people at St. Peter's.
They really
I
are.
have the greatest of respect for all nurses and medical staff, but it takes a special person because they're dealing with imminent death in a lot of cases. What card game did your mother really like?
I'm trying to remember.
Could have been euchre, could have been bridge, could have been heart. She played euchre. So, as you were describing it, it's like now you're with a bunch of other people. There are new friendships that are going to be created. There is that greater attention to your health so that you don't, as you said, she didn't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
The nurses and the staff were. And it's almost like there's this bounce back. Giving, the ultimate is quality of life, obviously.
Yeah. And she had that quality there at St. Peter's, which was amazing. It was just so good to have her back, and it was a real gift to both of us.
When she played euchre, did she like to bluff a lot?
That I don't know. I usually wasn't involved, but yeah, probably.
Well, let's talk about St. And you know, let's talk about you're walking from the A&W at King and Caroline all the way to the CN Tower in Toronto. And you did this on Friday, which we were talking about before the show, may have been the windiest day, relentlessly windiest day we've ever seen in this city. I mean, you see the odd gusts in a thunderstorm, and the rain is lashing, but this just pounded and pounded, and we all can see the damage around the city from those massive winds.
It was excessive.
So was it kind of helping you along the lake shore? Was it at your back?
Funnily enough, it was.
Excellent.
So I was really grateful for that. We were getting a lovely massage from all the sand and debris that was flying at us from behind. There were a few scary moments. We narrowly missed getting squashed by part of a tree that came down in Mimico area.
Oh, wow.
It snapped off the trunk and came tumbling down and almost took out a power line at the same time. Fortunately, it didn't. No one was hurt. Everything was okay. But that was kind of a little wake-up call that, maybe we're not the safest, but we kept going anyway because we're stubborn that way.
How many folks were walking with you?
At that time, we actually had 3. For the first time ever, there are 3 people who finished the walk all together. Myself, my friend Armand, who does the whole entire walk with me, and my friend Paul Schroeder from Milton. He joined us in Mississauga, and he walked all the way to the tower. I'm very proud that he was extending his contribution to the walk as well.
That's a great shot. Welcome to Toronto.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We were having fun, getting a little sunburned too as well.
Yeah.
It was great. We had all the weather except for hail and snow. Those were the only things we're missing. Maybe
where's your
next year.
sunscreen and where's your hat, young man?
There's the story. I was going to pack my sunscreen and I'm like, I'm not going to need it. It's going to rain for most of the day. And in the back of my mind, I was telling myself, you're going to live to regret that. And sure enough, I did.
How many hours did it take you?
It was actually a little longer than average, just a touch because of all the wind. It was 19 and a half hours. We started at 12:01 a.m. on the Friday, and we arrived at the CN Tower at 7:30 on the nose. It was great. We had some people greeting us at the tower for the first time ever. It was wonderful to have a reception when we got there, and one of which was a complete stranger, a lovely woman who made us a sign and everything, and so it was really, really neat.
This is your 5th year. And you're raising funds, and we want to help you do that because you can still help Luke raise funds. We checked earlier, you're at 64% of your goal. You're looking to raise $6,000. So far you've raised $15,000 in the previous 4 years, so looks like every year getting bigger. That's what happens with development.
Exactly.
Every year it gets bigger. And the more publicity you can gain, obviously, the bigger it can get. Where would the $6,000 go? What does it go into? Equipment? Or?
Actually, yes, equipment.
Okay.
Right now we're raising funds to purchase bedside medication scanners.
Okay.
So it helps them accurately dispense medication. The dispensers are around $900 each. Medical equipment is not cheap.
No.
Last year's walk was great. We raised enough to purchase a vital signs monitor for the palliative care ward. So that was great. Before that, we worked on pressure mapping system, which alleviates bed sores. Each year we find a different project. I get in touch with the foundation and we come up with a different goal. And we try and work towards getting that for the patients and their families. One year was chairs for families when they would visit their family members, and it was quite the...
You're always in touch, and whatever their needs are, and the St. Peter's Hospital Foundation, I know some folks there. It's always a tough haul when you're fundraising, but this is for a terrific cause. One of our problems in Hamilton is we need more beds in palliative care institutions like St. Peter's because they're just constantly jammed.
Well, yeah, there were over 430 admissions to St. Peter's last year. It's the largest palliative care program in all of Canada. So
it also has, doesn't it? It has one of the best reputations in the country as well.
Most definitely, yeah. It's not like anywhere else. There's a real community there, and it's something very special.
Is your dad still with you?
Unfortunately, no. I lost my dad a little while before my mother back in 2007. And he was not a very healthy man himself. But, yeah, so it was...
So when you're walking along the lakeshore, do you think about your mom a lot?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was a great woman, and I like to think that by walking to Toronto and raising money for St. Peter's and helping those patients and helping the community, that I'm kind of carrying on her legacy of helping others.
Let's put up some information on the screen if we could, because as we mentioned, donations are still being accepted at hamiltonhealth.ca/Fillion's Footsteps. And that's with 2 L's, the Fillion, yeah. Luke, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It's a terrific story, and you survived a weather day like we're not ever going to forget. Now,
that's for sure.
How do people get in, if 10 people wanted to walk with you next year for a good cause, how would they get in touch with you? Through the foundation? Because you're going to do it again next year.
Oh, yeah. It's annual, yeah. So the best way to get in touch would probably be with me on Facebook or on Twitter. I'm at Lumist Canada, Lumist Canada. And so, yeah, you can tweet me there or on Facebook. And you could also contact the foundation, and they could put you in touch with me as well.
Perfect. And again, you still can help Luke get to his goal of $6,000 for those $900 bedside units, drug dispensary monitors.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Luke, great story. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And joining us on City Matters. After the break, we'll hear about some of the work happening at McMaster to improve more people's hearing.